Hey, what is up guys, Boo here back with a brand new video, and today we're going to be going over a new What If series, and that series is going to be What If Deku had a teleportation quirk. So without further ado, let's get straight into this new What If series. Let's first start off with Deku's teleporting quirk. And the way this quirk is going to work itself in this What If is that he can automatically teleport wherever he wants and he leaves a smoke cloud behind. But the catch is, it has to be somewhere he can see, and also he can teleport north and south easily, but east to west is a little more difficult for him and takes more out of him. The weakness for this quirk as well is that it takes a lot out of him to teleport, and if he isn't 100% sure of his landing and doesn't calculate it right, something like his foot will end up being inside the floor. So without further ado, let's get started. Deku walks home excited to start getting ready to apply to a bunch of schools, one of the schools being the biggest hero school in all of Japan, which is UA High. On his way home though, he comes across a giant sludge monster and gets scared out of his mind, and decides that the best idea is to get out of there quickly. He looks off into the street and blinks and lands right in front of a store that he was staring at. Relieved, looks a bit exhausted, and then walks home. Later on that night, he goes to the TV and sees that the sludge villain had been apprehended by All Might, the #1 hero. As Deku sees this news story, his eyes start lighting up in excitement as he gets memories of how he looked up to All Might, and he'd watch a clip constantly every day of All Might saving tons of people in a wreckage. Deku then, after reminiscing, decides to look at his application and signs up for 2 schools, UA High and Shiketsu High, being one of the schools he was interested in. Then after submitting his forms, he decides that he needs to start training his quirk, since he can only teleport twice a day. And after that instance with the sludge monster, if he had used up all his 2 teleports for the day, he might have died right then and there, since he wouldn't have been able to escape. And then Deku decides that he wants to go to Dagobah Beach, since there's tons of trash there, so many people wouldn't want to be there, and also he can try to clean up the beach a bit to get stronger, even if he can't clean the entire beach by himself. Deku's training starts the next day. He starts taking laps around the beach, exhausting himself, and then teleports as far as he can, and he feels a bit exhausted, but his resolve pushes him to keep going. He tries lifting heavier things while running to build some arm muscle as well. Then Deku blinks right next to a trash can where he had been tossing out junk, and pukes because of his exhaustion from running around and trying to teleport so much. A few weeks pass and Deku feels way stronger, as stuff that he thought was super heavy before had become lighter to him, as he kept on training. The few months pass, and now Deku is able to teleport at least 15 times a day before feeling exhaustion. He smiles knowing that he had great chance now of getting into UA High, but then decides to start looking into some fighting styles. But before doing so, he runs to throw away some more trash and blinks, and without realizing it, he landed right next to the trash can. Thankful he didn't crash and fall, or didn't land in the wrong spot, but then notices that he had managed to bring the trash with him. Deku looks confused since he tried teleporting stuff when he was younger and he would tend to leave that thing behind. Deku starts thinking how it's possible for him to do this, and then connects the dots and realizes that he had evolved his quirk somehow while training. Deku, happy for this, starts running home excited about the enhancement to his quirk, and while running home he stops by a bookstore to buy some mixed martial arts books. More months pass and it's the day of the exams. Deku decides to take his time for UA High since he doesn't want to exhaust himself. He gets there and sees his old friend Bakugo is there, and Deku smiles and greets him. Bakugo smirks and tells Deku to buzz off since he doesn't want Deku to distract him, while Deku says, "Before leaving, I got stronger, Bakugo, so don't expect me to slow down one bit. I'm gonna get a #1 on that physical exam, you best believe it." Bakugo smiles back saying, "Bring it on." President Mike goes into an explanation of the exam, which is that it's going to be them destroying robots, and that the robots are on a 1 to 3 point scale, and they should just ignore the 0-pointer robot since it's just there to inconvenience them. Bakugo walks up to Deku asking how he plans on getting any points since he can't fight. Deku says, "Don't worry Bakugo, I planned for that." They separate and Deku walks onto the mock city. He starts stretching, getting himself ready, as he hears President Mike yell "begin," and Deku immediately runs off. Deku sees a 3-pointer robot and decides that it's going to be the first robot he takes down. So he grabs the robot and thinks to himself that he managed to increase his endurance so much that now he can at least do 25 teleports while carrying objects, and 60 teleports if it's just himself. He grabs the robot, stares into the sky, blinks, leaving a cloud of dust behind. He had managed to lift the robot so far high up in the sky, and then immediately blinks back down onto the ground, angling it so he didn't accidentally land into some rubble or something. The robot crashes, and just like that, Deku had earned 3 points. Deku keeps this going with 3 to 2-pointer robots and realizes that he had a grand total of about 55 points, and believes to himself that should be more than enough to get himself enough points to pass. Then decides to wait it out since he had only 1 teleport left if he wanted to hold an object, and 1 teleport landing left as well. Then all of a sudden, a giant robot lands onto the city, with Deku looking and seeing a giant 0-pointer robot waiting for the students. Deku decides to run, and as he's running, he hears someone scream in pain. He turns around and sees a girl stuck under some rubble, and without even thinking, Deku bolts at the robot and can't stop. He starts thinking to himself, asking why he can't stop running, and then realizes that he won't make it in time to save her unless he uses his quirk. So he uses it. He blinks and teleports to her and tells her to grab on and to trust him. She grabs his hand and Deku looks at the sky, blinks, holding her as they both end up high in the sky. As Deku says that he saw her quirk taking down robots and that she can use her quirk to levitate things. So if she can, she should use it on herself and to get to safety. As he smiles, saying to himself that if this is how he dies, he's okay with it since he had saved someone's life, and then passes out due to the exhaustion of using his quirk so much. Deku wakes up and sees that he is somehow okay, and an old lady kissing him on the head as she says, "What you did was reckless but noble and brave." Deku starts freaking out since the old lady had kissed him, and then overhears this lady is named Recovery Girl, and she's such a good healer UA is allowed to run these kind of dangerous exams because of her. Deku, not worried about himself, asks if the girl is okay, and Recovery Girl slaps him in the head and says she used her quirk on herself and you so they could float safely onto the roof, where she proceeded to call for help, and then a few people carried Deku down while she was constantly throwing up the whole time. Deku feels bad that he made her go through this and asks where she is. Recovery Girl points to the girl sitting on top of a destroyed robot, looking like she had just thrown up a lot. Deku walks up to her, bows, and apologizes, telling her, "Sorry that I made you throw up so much." She tells him that it's no need to bow, and if it wasn't for him, she'd be a goner, and thanks to him, she is alive, asking for his name. He replies saying that my name is Izuku Midoriya, asking for her name in the process as well, and she replies saying her name is Ochiko Uraraka. They both smile at each other, saying that they hope to see each other at UA soon as he walks home. Some time had passed since the entrance exam, and Deku's mom rushes in with a letter saying it's from UA, and Deku opens the letter in his room. Confused, he sees a disc thing and doesn't know what to do with it when all of a sudden a projection pops up. Deku sees that it's the number 1 hero, All Might, and starts to freak out. All Might says he's here with Deku's results for the entrance exams. Deku had managed to pass the written exam with flying colors, and he even managed to pass the physical exam, placing number 1 in all of it because of the brave move he did to save the young woman named Ochiko Uraraka. And All Might proceeds to welcome him to UA High as Deku jumps up in excitement, raising his fist in the air saying, "I did it, I'm in UA High." And boom, that's going to be it for this video, guys. So I hope you enjoyed this new What If series of mine. I had been thinking about doing this for a while, but didn't do it because I didn't have time. So with this new initiative to upload more, I just said, screw it, this is the perfect time to actually launch this What If series. So if you guys want more of What If Deku had a teleporting quirk, be sure to like, favorite, comment, subscribe, and I'll make the like goal for this video 50 likes if y'all want to keep this What If going. So if you guys enjoyed, again, like, favorite, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace out. Bye-bye.